Politics is messy, confusing, and often downright dramatic. But at the center of all that noise are ideas, ideologies that shape how we live, fight, and dream. Today, we'll break down the world's most famous political ideologies, one by one, so you can finally understand what they actually stand for. Liberalism. Liberalism is often called the cornerstone of modern politics. It begins with the belief that every individual has rights, and governments exist only with the consent of the people. Liberals push for constitutions, elections between multiple parties, and a separation of powers to keep rulers in check. They defend free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and privacy rights. Economically, they lean toward free markets, though within rules that ensure fair competition. Fascism. Fascism argues that people are weak when divided, but powerful when united under one leader, nation, or army. It rejects democracy and separation of powers, instead concentrating authority in a single ruler. Fascist regimes glorify nationalism and militarism, suppress opposition with force, and demand individuals sacrifice their interests for the greater good of the nation or race. Feminism. Feminism fights for political, economic, and social equality between the sexes. It argues that societies often prioritize male perspectives and leave women disadvantaged. Feminists challenge gender stereotypes, push for better opportunities in education and work, and demand equal treatment under the law. The core belief is simple: gender should never determine the value of a person. Conservatism. Conservatism, as the name suggests, seeks to preserve traditional values. It emphasizes family structures like the nuclear family, respect for organized religion, strong military institutions, and the protection of property rights. Conservatives see these traditions as the foundation of a stable society, and they often resist radical change in favor of gradual reform. Communism. Communism imagines a society without private property, social classes, or even money. Everything, from factories to farms, would be collectively owned and shared according to need. In theory, this would mean no inequality, since everyone contributes and everyone receives. In practice, communism has been both an inspiration for movements and a source of major controversy worldwide. Populism. Populism doesn't tie itself to the left or right. It ties itself to the people. Populists argue that politics should reflect the will of the masses, not the interests of the elites. Populist movements can appear in democracies where leaders claim to speak directly for the common man, often dividing society into the people versus the establishment. Libertarianism. Libertarianism places liberty above all else. It champions individual freedom, autonomy, and minimal government interference. Like liberalism, it values rights such as life, liberty, and property, but it goes further by demanding the state stay out of most personal and economic affairs. For libertarians, the freer the individual, the better the society. Authoritarianism. Authoritarianism describes a system where power is concentrated in a central authority. Citizens are expected to obey, while political freedoms are restricted or eliminated. Opposition is suppressed, often harshly. Classic monarchies, military juntas, and many modern dictatorships fall into this category. Stability is prioritized, but at the cost of personal freedoms. Socialism. Socialism has many branches, but at its core, it calls for social ownership of the means of production. Traditionally, this meant worker cooperatives and workplace democracy. In modern times, it often means high taxes on the wealthy, strong labor unions, and the nationalization of key industries like healthcare or transportation. The guiding idea is to reduce inequality by ensuring resources benefit the many, not just the few. Nazism. Nazism is a racialized form of fascism. It insisted that the so-called Aryan race was superior and destined to rule, while Jews, Roma, homosexuals, the disabled, and others were branded as subhuman. The Nazis embraced eugenics, selective breeding, and extermination to purify humanity. It was ultra-nationalist, militaristic, and one of the most destructive ideologies in human history. Environmentalism. Environmentalism, or green politics, says that nature must be central in decision-making. Its concerns range from recycling and reducing CO2 emissions to stopping pollution and protecting ecosystems. Environmentalists argue that ignoring the planet's health threatens humanity's survival itself. Capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system built on private ownership of businesses and the pursuit of profit. Its key ingredients are private property, free exchange, competition, division of labor, and voluntary cooperation. Supporters argue that it drives innovation and prosperity. Critics warn it can create inequality and exploit workers. Progressivism. Progressivism insists that tradition should never block improvement. It focuses on social reform, innovation, and expanding rights. Progressives see history as something to learn from, not something to obey. Their priority is progress, even if it means challenging old institutions. Anarchism. Anarchism advocates for a world without rulers or centralized authority. Instead, it imagines communities run through voluntary cooperation and mutual aid. Anarchists see the state as a tool of oppression and believe true freedom can only exist in a stateless society. Imperialism. Imperialism is the belief that powerful nations should expand their influence, historically through colonization and war. Empires justified expansion by claiming they were bringing civilization, technology, or trade, but in practice it often meant exploitation and domination of weaker peoples. Though less common today, its legacy still shapes global politics. Syndicalism. Syndicalism grows out of socialism and emphasizes labor unions. It believes that workers, organized into syndicates, should take direct action, like strikes, to dismantle capitalism and run society themselves. Instead of a traditional government, syndicalists imagine a Congress of unions managing the economy collectively. Egalitarianism. Egalitarianism pushes for absolute social equality. It insists that all citizens, regardless of gender, class, or background, should have equal rights and treatment under the law. Unlike moderate reforms, egalitarianism is uncompromising in its pursuit of fairness. Corporatism. Corporatism suggests society should be structured by occupation, agriculture, industry, the military, and so on. Within these groups, workers, employers, and the state cooperate to regulate the economy. Unlike a corporatocracy, ruled by big business, true corporatism aims to balance interests across all sectors. Transhumanism. Transhumanism is the belief that humans should use technology to transcend their biological limits. From cybernetic implants to genetic engineering, transhumanists imagine a future where disease, aging, and even death could be defeated. The ultimate goal is an advanced, possibly immortal humanity. Separatism. Separatism, also called secessionism, seeks to create a new, independent state out of an existing one. Separatist movements are often based on ethnicity, religion, or culture, with groups arguing they deserve their own government and identity. Communitarianism. Communitarianism emphasizes the role of the community over the individual. It argues that hyper-individualism harms society and that policies should balance personal freedom with the common good. It also rejects the rigid left-right divide, claiming both sides have ideas worth applying. And there you have it, the world's most influential political ideologies explained in plain language. From anarchism to authoritarianism, from capitalism to communism, each has shaped history in its own way. Which of these ideologies do you think will dominate the future? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.